Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Jason Hagcom Sports Experience. I am joined by one of my longtime pals again as well, InstantClassic8 for those of you knowing on YouTube, my good friend Brandon breaking the gimmick here. Brandon, how are you?
I am great, man. How about yourself?
Oh, I am doing fantastic. We both enjoyed one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time last night from Santa Clara. I guess before we get into that, Brandon, you were going to go to the show and then you sold your tickets last minute. Any regret on that?
I try not to live life, especially a wrestling life, with regrets. But watching that show, I mean, just not even the show itself, just Sunday, I woke up and I'm sitting around and I could just feel the magic of WrestleMania. I've been to, four of the shows within the past 5, 6 years. And, this year I saw the card and I was like, you know what? I'm just not looking forward to it. I sold my ticket. Sitting here on Sunday, can just feel the magic of WrestleMania and say, man, should I have gone there? And then once the show was over, not regretting, but I really wish I was there. It was a very, very, very fun show.
Absolutely. The atmosphere in the building seemed electric. One of the better outdoor shows where you could hear all the sound and everything. Crowd was hot all through the night. I guess before we get into running down the card and how everything went, there's been a lot of talk. I mean, I've even tweeted about it saying this is the best WrestleMania since WrestleMania 17. I know it's early for you, Brandon, but what are your thoughts on this show in terms of where does it rank in all the WrestleManias of past?
I think one of the big things wrestling fans like to do is once a WrestleMania is over, they like to compare it to other WrestleManias. Maybe it's just a lot of people living in the moment, maybe myself living in the moment, but I really thought that this was like a top tier WrestleMania. Granted, there weren't any exceptional, like spectacular matches, which we'll get into that, but just the show overall and how many great moments that it had. Like I said, it's definitely a top tier. Would I put it up there with the WrestleMania 17s of the world? Maybe I'll need to watch it another time to see, but I'm not upset for anyone that really enjoyed it. Like I said, it was a fantastic show. I think it exceeded everyone's expectations.
I definitely agree. I know a lot of people were talking about the build was killing the show and that it had no interest in watching and, cancel WWE Network, but that's just wrestling fans being irrational as per usual. And the show way over succeeded and overworked everything that we all thought, and just a great event and what WrestleMania is all about, fun for each and every age.
Absolutely, absolutely, for sure.
So, as we run down the card, I missed the first pre-show match, the tag title match. Did you see that, Brandon?
I did see that match. The competitors, do I remember who was in it? I don't, honestly. It was like four teams. It sucks because the Usos, I really liked them. They were in the tag team match. I believe one of the Usos was injured.
Yeah, Jay he had a shoulder injury.
Yeah, and he actually was taken out pretty early in the match. But it kind of sucks to see them get pushed to the pre-show once again. I think they deserve to have their spot on the main show. Either way, these guys went out there. The Usos, you had the tag team champions in Cesaro and Kid. The New Day was in there. I think they were in there as well.
And
those guys, Los Matadores, that's right. Those guys, they went out there and they showed the crowd why they belonged on that show. This was very typical. I don't know if you've seen, if any of you guys seen ROH matches in the past, especially those four corner survivals where they just basically just go balls to the wall action. This was that match a lot, just a lot of spots, but it was a very fun match. The crowd was super into it. Very surprised Kid and Cesaro retained, but yeah, definitely a great opener for the pre-show for the WrestleMania.
I said going into this match, I thought it actually worked out better on the pre-show for them to have more time to do more stuff. And plus, how this show went, there's no way it could have fit in. It would have been probably a 3-minute match instead of the length that was given. I'm happy that they had Kid and Cesaro retain. I think there's a lot of potential there. And a future actual program with the Usos, I think, is down the line. But as you said, it seemed like a great match. And if it was an ROH style match, the crowd had to be very entertained in it. Now, the next match was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. For me, this match was only about one thing, and it was the Miz and Mizdow come to conclusions of where Mizdow finally turns on the Miz. We got that, but totally not understanding why Big Show went over other than the comparisons between Andre and Big Show. What were your thoughts on the match, Brandon?
The match was fine. I didn't really hate it. It was a long match. It's kind of weird us seeing a battle royal. I don't know if they're going to do this anymore after this one, but to see a battle royal in WrestleMania just 2 months after watching the biggest battle royal of all of wrestling, with the Royal Rumble, it is weird seeing this on Mania. But like I said, it was a decent match. Big Show winning, that was a little in left field, but I'm not upset. Like you said, I think the biggest thing everyone was waiting for was Damien Sandow to finally turn on The Miz, which he did that, which got a very, very nice reaction from everyone in the crowd. They did a little banter back and forth between Sandow and the Big Show. Big Show obviously is going to be your winner on that. Like I said, we'll see if they do it anymore in the future. They did push it to the pre-show, which kind of tells you something after having it 1 year as a mainstay on the main show. But like I said, I enjoy for a pre-show battle royal. It was fine.
Yeah, I think the pre-show aspect of the matches actually were really good, and more, I guess, a reminder of show up to the show early and watch the pre-show matches. They're not just nothing to care about like in years past. So I think they've done a solid job of it, and now there's a direction to come out of it. My last question on the pre-show battle royal before we get to it is, they had Kenta or Hideo Itami in this battle royal after he won the NXT tournament, and he was kind of treated like a jobber totally after Big Show easily eliminated him. Do you see him moving up to the big roster at a short period of time, like starting tonight maybe? And with that elimination, do you think it means anything? Or is it just, it's a WrestleMania and no one really thinks about stuff like that?
I don't think it means much of anything. I mean, they have guys debuting all the time in Battle Royals, Royal Rumbles. So just look at, was it last year, 2014's Royal Rumble, they had Rusev debut, I believe. I don't know if he actually started on the shows after that, but he was at least in that match. He was a debut from NXT. And he got eliminated pretty quickly, but now look at him now. He's like in a top-tier match with John Cena at WrestleMania. So I don't feel that Hideo Itami being eliminated and how he was eliminated is going to really hurt him. Will we see him on the main card? That's very interesting considering now the whole news with NXT. They're trying to expand them to maybe have them send them out on the road by themselves. They're not going to have monthly live specials now. I know before they would do it like every 3 months or so, but now they're going to do it every single month. I feel like he's going to be a mainstay on NXT for a little while longer. But like I said, he was in the Battle Royal. He showed out a little bit. It was fine. My big selling point with the Battle Royal or the pre-show in the beginning is that the fact that this was pretty much a 5-hour WrestleMania. They had WrestleMania start, at least the Eastern time, to start at 7. It was 4 where WrestleMania was at, but they started the pre-show at 5 o'clock. So that's a 2-hour pre-show and then a 4-hour WrestleMania. The biggest selling point was that anyone who didn't order the WWE Network, which anyone that doesn't have it out there, I implore you to please buy the network. It's so worth it. $9.99 is ridiculous. The first hour was just, for people to try to get hyped up. That second hour was exclusively for anyone that had the network. And that pretty much sold the show. I mean, I wouldn't say sold the show, but, got people to actually sign up for it because they got, the Battle Royal and you got a tag title match before the big show even happened. So, like I said, the pre-show overall, normally I don't really pay attention to them, but for WrestleMania this year, it was actually pretty good.
I guess my point on the getting the network, I don't know anyone who doesn't have the network, but I saw that this show was on pay-per-view and it was like $80. And who'd be stupid enough to pay $80 for this show when you could pay $9.99 or $12 a month up in here in Canada? So definitely get the network and don't throw your money away.
Yeah, I was curious myself on that. I went to my pay-per-view channel just to see how much it would cost. $69.95, and I was just in shock. Granted, 2 years ago, I think I paid $59.99 or something for WrestleMania, but times has changed. $9.99 for WrestleMania. I mean, it's the best value you can get, and then everything else that's included. I mean, we're products of the WWE Classics on Demand, so we really enjoy the network. So I implore anyone who does not have it. It's $10 a month. It's the best thing you can buy.
Well, Brandon, let's move on to the start of the granddaddy of them all. We had that LL Cool J intro. I mean, that was kind of cool. That was LL's appearance, was a taped vignette from like probably 3 sets of vignettes that he taped, but whatever. We started off with the Intercontinental ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Daniel Bryan versus Bad News Barrett versus R-Truth, Dean Ambrose, Luke Harper, Dolph Ziggler, and Stardust. In a match that I thought was, the perfect way to get the crowd going. A ladder match that in 2015, it's kind of hard to have some selling points in it, but I thought the guys worked really well. Each guy really had moments to shine, and Dean Ambrose may be dead.
He took a horrible bump. Granted, we've seen Jeff Hardy take that bump. We've seen Shelton Benjamin take that bump. I'm probably sure we've seen a couple other guys. I think Sin Cara a couple years ago got power bombed through a ladder from Sheamus. But just the way that he took that, I mean, it was just completely devastating. These guys, they went balls to the wall. I mean, it was a lot of action. When this match first started and the guys were coming out and doing their entrances, you could tell me, obviously you got 70,000 people, a huge stadium, but you could tell it was WrestleMania because everyone had their WrestleMania gear on, which for me, that's something I always look forward to. You had Dolph Ziggler, he had a new vest on. You had, who was this?
And a stupid haircut.
Yeah, he did have the French braided haircut. I mean, this is Justin Timberlake when he went cornrows. But you had Luke Harper who had a new vest on. He had black jeans on. It was really cool to see. WrestleMania is a spectacle for sure. As far as this match, it was a great opener. The crowd was really into it. To see Daniel Bryan in WrestleMania 30. Confetti flying. He's holding up the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, and have him the first person that you see, as far as a competitor, the first person you see coming out. A lot of people, look down upon that, but I think it's a pretty cool thing to see. All these guys worked really hard. He ended up winning the Intercontinental Champion. Like I said, it was a very good ladder match. I'm glad they brought the ladder match back to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll have that going forward because they have really 2 pay-per-views build around that style of a match. So I would think maybe we won't see as many ladder matches at WrestleMania. But with the history of a ladder match at WrestleMania, there is some reason to continue to bring it back if the storyline is right. However, the build for this feud was kind of crazy. The headbutt spots towards the end by Bryan and Ziggler were like straight out of freaking New Japan. Really crazy to see in with the concussion policy that they have. But and I thought that Stardust had some shine in that match with when the way he sold that bullhammer from Barrett was just on point. Everyone worked very well in this match, had their moments, like I said. So a great way to start the show. Then the next match, we had a real grudge match, and actually something I think a lot of people were really interested in, seeing Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. First off, did you notice J&J security, when they came to the ring with Rollins, actually pretend to be legit security guards, like checking their ears and if anyone was around Seth? I thought that was a great little touch.
They played the role greatly. I don't know if anyone saw it. It was on the pre-show. But it was a backstage skit with J&J Security. They're sitting there getting coffee, and all of a sudden they turn, and it's Pat Patterson and Jared Briscoe. And, of course, we've dubbed them the Stooges of the new generation. You got the Stooges of the old generation, who we all grew up on. I just thought that was a pretty cool thing to see. But those guys, like I said, they play the role well.
But then, now to the match as well. I mean, Orton, speaking of your new gear, he came back in like 2004 gear, like red trunks and the elbow pads. So, I mean, you can totally tell it's babyface Randy Orton going on here on out. The match I thought was fantastic. Actually, I think if you look at this, this may be the second best match in terms of technical aspect on the show. I thought they both gelled really, really well. Rollins had a lot of high spots that worked out well. Just the style that they had, I thought, meshed well, and I look to see what happens. I guess we'll get to that in a second with Orton going through on this match. I mean, we saw the Phoenix Splash again where Rollins was able to attempt it and miss. But then the finish, though, Brandon, was just one of the craziest RKOs you're ever going to see.
We see crazy RKOs all the time and always think, oh, that can't be topped, that can't be topped. One of my favorites of all time is the one that he did on Evan Bourne. I think Evan Bourne was doing the shooting star press. Yeah. Norton popped up and hit him with an RKO. That was fantastic. But this one, Seth Rollins, if no one's seen it, Seth Rollins was going for his, what do they call it, blackout or a curb stomp. And right as he was going for the curb stomp, Orton popped up, which basically catapulted Rollins into the air and came down to RKO. Just spectacular vision for this move here. It was awesome. And the way Orton won this match, I think, was really cool. They had a great match for sure.
I thought they just gelled really, really well. And then I guess with that, it leaves question what happens with Rollins going on in the show. Then the next match, I thought at this point in the show it was kind of weird to see this. Triple H versus Sting. I guess, fifth match for WrestleMania, but really third on the card. I guess they needed to have it at this point for the time of the entrances. Sting had a pretty cool entrance in his own right with that, band with the drums, and then he came out with looking in shape. I was a little worried he was going to come out in a t-shirt. That would have just absolutely killed the luster of Sting at WrestleMania for me. But he's actually in really great shape for a dude that's 54 years old. And brand new ring jacket too. And then Triple H had a goddamn mini movie as his entrance with the Terminator theme.
You said really quick. You said brand new. I could have sworn I've seen him wear that in TNA before.
Maybe it's just been how long I had watched TNA. But
of course, yeah.
That jacket looked crisp when he came.
Yeah, it was very nice for sure.
He looked. This
match was. It was smoke and mirrors for sure. They did a lot of stuff in there. As far as when they were by themselves, I mean, it was acceptable. I didn't hate it. The big spots is when. Was it DX came out and ran out to try to help Hunter, and then all of a sudden the NWO came out to help Sting. Why would the NWO come out to help Sting? For me, as a longtime WCW fan, I know they hated each other going back and forth. So it was weird to see, but it was also cool to see all these guys going out here. I don't know if it was just them trying to say WWE was ultimately always better than WCW. I don't know, but like I said, the way everything went down, I thought it was a pretty cool sight to see. I really enjoyed it.
Well, first of all, I thought it made no sense that like half the guys there are all friends with Triple H, and like the 2 of the 3 NWO guys are Triple H's boys. So that makes no sense. But I mean, and to your point, like why is the NWO out there with Sting? Unless that's the fake Sting, who we are all accustomed to with all the war games and stuff like that. But I mean, as you said, it was smoke and mirrors, and I just thought how it was executed made that okay. If it was done on another way or anything like that, the world would be talking about how, oh, they overbooked this was terrible. But I think when you have the star power, 2 factions who people have wanted forever to see be in a match together, I think that adds to the specialty of that moment, and people not really caring as much. I thought whatever they did in the ring before all that happened was fine, but this just added to the match. Plus, who knows how much Sting really has left in his tank to continue. So this match kind of needed stuff like that, but a fantastic moment and a great WrestleMania moment and the beginning of them on this show.
The Sting, I know you said that, how much he has left over. I think Sting did an interview saying it's probably his last match, unless they come to him with the match against The Undertaker, which for next year, and we'll talk about Dallas and everything, that's a pretty big match to have. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. If this is Sting's last match, hey, it was a fun ride. But a very entertaining match this was.
By the way, before we move on, did you think it was beyond weird that Triple H and Sting shook hands after the match?
Sting came to the WWE because he didn't like what the Authority was doing. I guess that's what it is. And he wanted to stop Triple H from being this crazy power trip, no pun intended. But, and they have this crazy feud, and they have this match where basically Sting gets screwed over. They have the DX come out, and he gets hit with sledgehammers, and he gets screwed over and loses the match, and he still wants to shake Triple H's hand. That part I didn't really care for. I didn't like, but what are you going to do?
That was dumb, but I think just as we said, the star power, the 2 groups, everyone's going to forget about the handshake in the long run. So that was the match of Sting in the WWE ring, which was still surreal to me to just even fathom. So we had that match. And then after that was the Divas Tag Match with AJ Lee Paige against the Bella Twins. A match I thought that was pretty well. There's not much really to say. I thought the girls worked hard. Paige, did most of the work for the babyface team. I will say, though, Nikki Bella as a worker has gotten a lot better.
She's gotten a lot better. The whole movement, give the Divas a chance. I always tell them, people say, give the Divas a chance, but you gave them 2 minutes. You should give them 10 minutes. You should give them 15 minutes here. You don't have to give them time. You have to give them a chance. Give them a chance to go out there and show what they can do. This match, it was acceptable. This is something I probably would have seen on Monday Night Raw in a couple weeks. It was fine for a Divas match. It was weird that we saw Divas title, like they had title matches for the Divas to build up to the tag match, which is probably going to on set give us more title matches with the Divas. That was weird to see, but hey, you had this here. This was the I don't want to call it the intermission. I mean, before this you had Kid Ink and Skylar Grey. Is that her name?
Yeah.
They had a little performance, which was fine. I didn't hate it. I think you did the Hall of Fame around this time as well, which was really cool to see. All this packaged together with the Divas match, like a lot of people call it the intermission. Like I said, I didn't mind that match. I think AJ won with her move. It was fine.
Yeah, it really was fine. I mean, you've noticed the girls on the main roster really improve their work rate, as we said, with that whole give divas a chance, and I think to show that they are just as talented in the ring as those NXT girls, because some of them were probably looking for a chance at the main roster in the coming weeks.
I want to say next year, if we have a divas match, we need to have some of those NXT girls in it, preferably just my love, Sasha Banks. I think she is brilliant. She is ready for this thing, and just give her a chance, and she'll knock it out of the park for sure.
The next match, though, Brandon, was the United States championship match with Rusev defending against John Cena, Russia versus America, like the good old 80s. I'm going to say, Rusev, for really his first WrestleMania, I believe this is his first WrestleMania match, had the greatest entrance of anyone getting their first WrestleMania match. I mean, Lana with the flag, the Russian soldiers playing the Russian anthem, I believe, and then Rusev came out in a tank. I mean, this was some K1 Pride style stuff. Absolutely amazing, and it really shows, it puts Rusev on that level of superstar and someone that's a serious contender for a title. I thought that was fantastic. Then we had the US video and everything like that. And then Cena came out and got booed.
The entrance from Rusev was awesome. As much as we down the WWE, they kill it when it comes to the entertainment portion of wrestling. Like, for him to come out there, he's got Russian soldiers. He comes out in a freaking tank. They're shooting cannons all over the place. It was such a spectacle. Cena comes out. They start singing Cena Sucks. That's what you're going to get every WrestleMania pretty much now. The match itself, I thought it was fine. I didn't, I enjoyed parts of it. Rusev is, the way that guy moves around the ring, doing, spinning back kicks and, just flying all over the ring. He is super, super good, man. To have Cena win the United States champion, granted, I didn't really care for him winning on one attitude adjustment, but for him to win the United States champion, and for Daniel Bryan to win the Intercontinental champion, you're going to have two mid-level titles which are going to be raised, and hopefully these guys will hold these belts for a long time and defend. Like, if it was me, I would have them defend it like every match just to have some prestige on there, and of course you'll have somebody later on to come and take it. But this match in particular, Rusev's debut at WrestleMania, I thought they did really well for sure.
That was going to be my next point, because I think it's really interesting how they've taken, Cena and now Bryan with the undercard top titles in the Intercontinental title and the US title. So it looks on paper, and then we keep saying this every year, that these titles are finally going to get some meaning and mean something. Let's cross our fingers and hope and pray. But, with those two guys holding it, it looks like that's a serious run. Hopefully Danielson or Daniel Bryan can get a strong run like Nakamura and New Japan with their Intercontinental title, because that title to me just seems as important, or maybe more important, than the IWGP title in New Japan. Yeah,
absolutely. The main thing is, with the guys that held these titles beforehand, and even before that, those guys, when they held a title, they won a title, and they would lose like every single match. Wade Barrett, I don't know the last time he actually won a title. Won a match. But with these guys, you actually have to go in there and win matches against other guys to build this title up on here. But like I said, Cena being U.S. champion, it is definitely weird to see Cena as the U.S. champion now. But like I said, he'll bring some prestige to that belt for sure.
The other point I have in the match, just how the finish went down with Rusev knocking Lana off. It looks like this is the end of Lana and Rusev, which is so sad if that is the case, because I think Lana adds so much to the Rusev character. Where do you see Lana going if that is true? We haven't seen what happens on Monday Night Raw or anything like that, because I don't want to see her just become another diva. She's 10 times better than most of those girls in terms of being an actual character.
I pray that this isn't the end. Both these guys, at least at this point right now, they both need each other. Lana gets really good reaction when she comes out, but I don't think she's at the point where she can go by herself. And I don't want, you have a super athlete, with Lana. And it kind of reminds me of Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez when he was like the heel announcer for him. And then when they broke up, I think he was around for like 2 months, and then they shipped him off somewhere else. And it was never the same at all. And I think it could be like this as well. If you send Rusev or send Lana away, you're gonna have Lana just standing over there really doing nothing, and they're gonna stick her with someone that doesn't fit, and it's all gonna be a fail. So for right now, I am hoping that they stay together.
I think the wrestling world is. I think the company really needs them because they're the only ones that really, really generate heat, other than, I guess, Seth Rollins. But all in all, between Cena and Rusev, a great match. They've been really clicking in all aspects, whether it's angles and then in-ring and promos. Thought they've done a great work for both those two, and Cena's really done a good job at elevating Rusev. Now, moving on here, Brandon, is really to me, I guess, the highlight, other than how the show ended, with Triple H and Steph out to announce the attendance. It was, 70-some thousand people. And then Steph...
Fake attendance.
Yeah, fake attendance, of course. Like, the
Every year is
93,000. At Silver.
There's gonna be 130,000 people next year.
There'll be 1 million people there or something.
Probably so.
A billion folks. Plus, they'll count the network and pay-per-view buyers and international.
Yeah.
So Steph then, after that, realized that, came out and basically started burying the crowd and saying, oh, you guys wouldn't be here without the McMahons and what have you. And then we started to smell what The Rock was cooking. As his music hit, he came out, and him and Steph had a nice little verbatim back and forth. Really a lot of stalling here, I think, because of the rumor of what happened to Bray Wyatt's ankle, and that if he may or may not even be able to go. But there's all this stalling, and Steph basically... Oh, absolutely. Install with Rock, who that's basically part of his promo, installing. So basically Steph said that, Rock and his family wouldn't be out there with, Vince McMahon Jr. and Stephanie McMahon. And then she cracks Rock across the face. Rock goes out to the floor, and they already shown this person, Ronda Rousey, they showed on camera. Now, I thought it was just like at SummerSlam, like, hey, she's here, one of the biggest athletes on earth right now, and it's great for WWE. But then Rock and her have this look, and she comes over. I absolutely lost my mind when this happened. She got in the ring, said to Steph that any ring I'm in is my ring. Rock and Triple H then got physical. And by the way, did you see Triple H's cell? He's like Flair in like 89 right now.
When he was in the corner taking those shots, he was looking exactly like Ric Flair.
Oh, he looked amazing. And then Ronda Rousey hit the judo throw on Triple H, and then hit an armbar chicken wing on Steph. And that was the segment. Brandon, your thoughts on the segment?
The segment was... It's one of the better WrestleMania segments ever. My favorite, and not because I was just there, but last year when you had Hogan and Rock and Austin come out, I thought that was fantastic. This is up to par with that just because of how big of a Ronda Rousey fan I am. For any MMA fan that says that they can't compare with wrestling, pro wrestling, they're so silly. This was huge, and this will continue to be huge. This was on ESPN. This was everywhere today. Just to see her in the ring with The Rock, with Stephanie, who I think Stephanie is one of the best characters they have going right now. I used to hate Stephanie McMahon in 99 and 2000 when she would come out and get on the mic and just screech her voice. I hated her. She is now one of my favorite of all time right now. She's so good. Like I said, this was awesome. I am hoping this leads to something else maybe next year. We shall see. But yeah, just to see Ronda Rousey in there, to see and to go on like social media, go on Twitter and see her counterparts actually go crazy when you see her. I mean, of course, you had the 4 horsewomen in the front row going nuts for her, but then you had guys like, Daniel Cormier going nuts for her. You had Dana White. It was so cool to see her counterparts in the MMA world be happy for what she's doing in WWE. Again, will we see something happen maybe next year, WrestleMania? Who knows? But for this right now, this was an awesome segment to see.
Absolutely. I was thinking about this today. I'm going to say this is top 5 WrestleMania moment of all time. Like, up there, I think when you're looking down the line, you'll think of Hogan slamming Andre, Savage and Liz getting back together at WrestleMania 7. I would say the Austin turn at WrestleMania 17. What you said last year, the Hogan Rock Austin thing, and then this. And I would put this maybe ahead of that. That was a cool little memorable segment, but this was in the first one, in the middle of the show, and you have, like, they've had big time athletes, but Ronda's in her prime. She is still selling tickets and pay-per-views and magazines everywhere, whereas you can tell, like, the scale hasn't tipped down for her, where other athletes are past their prime or starting to decline into their decline past their prime. So I think this is one of the greatest things that's ever happened, and just look at the buzz it's generated.
For me, the greatest moment of all time, not just WrestleMania, but all time, is Brock Lesnar beating Undertaker. That is number one in my book forever. This is in the top 5, maybe top 3, as far as Ronda being on the show doing all this. If this leads to a match with her involved, this will definitely catapult itself, probably at the number 2 spot. Like I said, just such a cool sight to see at WrestleMania for sure.
The best thing about it for me, Brandon, was that no one saw it coming. I mean, we didn't see it coming. People in the UFC didn't see this coming, because I'm pretty sure if they knew, they would put the kibosh on this so fast. But like, it worked out for everyone, and when wrestling is done right, it's the best thing out there. Better than movies, TV, comic books, what have you. When wrestling's done right, it's perfect.
Absolutely. I wonder what CM Punk thought about this. I know he had to have seen it. To see Ronda Rousey come on this big stage and get such an incredible reaction, I'm very curious to see what he says. But for right now, this was, like I said, one of the best moments ever.
Absolutely, and like I said, I think it'll go down forever and ever. Which takes us on to the next match, co-main event: Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker. For an Undertaker match, I mean, the aura of The Undertaker obviously took a big hit with losing to Brock last year, and him not even being on camera for the build of this feud. Bray cut some tremendous promos, but I think also being Bray Wyatt and kind of the up and down year he's had with, like, how weird finishes and feuds and not going over guys he probably should have, I think it really hurt the build going into, or intrigue going on into this match. But when Undertaker came out, I thought he looked 10 times better than last year. Looks like he could almost be a full-time character again. I don't want that, but it looks like he could be that. I thought they had a solid match in the sense of, it may have dragged a bit, but when Bray went for the second Sister Abigail, like, people bought into it because we've seen him lose already at WrestleMania. Undertaker gets the win after a second Tombstone pile driver. Your thoughts on the match, Brandon?
This match was fine. Didn't really hate it or anything. Something was missing, and it's just him losing at WrestleMania, which I'm cool with, completely cool with. It had to come at some point. This match, it felt like something was missing. Granted, Undertaker, he looked great, so much better than he did last year. He worked a safe match, one of the issues at all. But yeah, like I said, something was missing out of this match. He hit all his big spots, the choke slam, couple tombstones. This was a fine match. I didn't really hate it. Next year, in my opinion, it needs to be it. He needs to have one more match. I don't know again. Next year, especially within Texas, his home state, have one more match and then just be done with it. This time around, it was fine.
I think it will be the end of it, just based on that little commercial we saw for WrestleMania 32 next year in Dallas with him kind of in it. It looks like that's the send-off for The Undertaker. But by the way, shout out to Bray Wyatt, who he suffered an ankle injury warming up for this match. We don't know the severity of it now, I believe. Either it was sprained or maybe even potentially broken, I don't know. But he gutted it out and went old school in a sense and toughed it out on the biggest stage and was solid enough in the match where you couldn't even tell he had a serious injury.
Yeah, he did really well. I had heard that as well. With WrestleMania, I guess, I'm not no pro wrestler, but I guess WrestleMania comes around, you just suck it up, you take your chance, and he definitely did that. So definitely hats off to Bray for that.
And then the main event, Brandon, where we had Brock Lesnar take on Roman Reigns in a match where the roles were reversed, where Brock came out to a huge, thunderous babyface reaction, and Roman Reigns absolutely booed out of all of Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. I mean, this match, I said going in, was going to be the most physical match on the card. It was, but I didn't expect it to be this physical, with Brock bleeding, Roman getting busted up. I mean, Brock even got popped hard way at the start of the match. lot of F5s. And we have a new phrase coming out of this now match, Brandon. Suplex City, bitch.
That's Brock is the best. Brock is the best thing they have. He is one of the most interesting people, not just in WWE, but all of sports in the world. He's just so awesome. He went out there and destroyed Roman Reigns. Roman, other than the spot where he pushed Brock into the post, he had like 3 Superman punches and a couple spears. Other than that, Roman didn't really do much. He got a beating. Brock, suplexes here and there, released German suplexes, released fisherman suplexes. There was one spot, I don't remember how it was set up, but Roman was like standing on the apron, and Brock hits him with this hard clothesline and just sends Roman flying out of the ring. It was so awesome. Like I said, Brock is a specimen. He was bleeding all over the place. The first time we've seen blood like that in a long time. Of course, the finish, it was something spectacular, which I really enjoy. I'll let you go ahead and discuss that.
Well, I mean, I guess before I get there, I just thought, Roman Reigns, who's gotten a lot of flack, I thought the couple weeks going into it, his time on the mic was fine. He was short, sweet, and precise, and they weren't trying to make him this, John Cena 2.0, and which is really what's pissed the fans off about him, is just they're trying to make him something that he's not. I thought he was solid. Even in this match, while he didn't get much offense, was solid. Like, the smiling and everything to the suplexes and everything still adds, like, he's still a strong character and all that. Plus, how this all ends, which now I will get to. So, Roman makes a comeback. I mean, he hits a bunch of Superman punches. Has Brock down. I believe Brock actually catches him in his 5th Superman punch attempt. Hits the F5, but can't cover. And then we hear Seth Rollins music, and I don't know about you, I was jumping up and down in my living room when I saw this, because I knew it was about to happen. I turned 10 years old again. So Seth came in, cashed in his Money in the Bank contract, shoved Reigns to the side, curb stomps to Brock, and is being so cautious and making sure Roman doesn't come back. Runs in, gets set up for an F5. Roman hits the spear, curb stomps to Roman Reigns. Seth Rollins gets the 1-2-3, and Seth Rollins is your new WWE champion. Your thoughts on how that's done, and with Seth going forward as champion, Brandon?
This was the one, I wouldn't say like the number one thing they had to do, but whatever they needed to do, they actually took care of, because everyone came out of this completely shocked, completely happy. I don't know anyone that was really upset that like Roman Reigns didn't win. Granted, I would have loved to see Brock Lesnar champion for 10 years. I really would have. But for Seth Rollins to come in here, finally cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, I thought it was tremendous. You talk about a guy, Seth Rollins. I first saw him 2007. Was that? I think we watched that show. Was that Man Up?
Yes, 2007, end of 2007.
Jason and we actually watched that show together back in 2007, and this young skinny kid, Tyler Black, comes out there and starts raising hell with everyone, and just year over year you just saw this guy progress and progress and progress. I saw him for the first time live in 2010. I was like, this dude has it. I saw Seth Rollins outside of University of Phoenix Stadium when I went to WrestleMania 26, and I told him, I was like, we got to get you on there, and he told me, I'm going to be there one day. Flash, it was this 5 years later, now he's standing World Heavyweight Champion on WWE. It's just such an amazing thing to see, just amazing transition. It was a great ending to WrestleMania. Where we'll go forward with this, there's so many possibilities. I mean, he could have title matches with Roman Reigns, with Brock Lesnar maybe. We're definitely going to see probably him and Orton. Just so many different things they can do with this. But granted, like I said, a very, very awesome scene to see. I was going crazy just like you did when he came out to cash out. But yeah, awesome scene and a great ending to WrestleMania for sure.
I think the thing that makes it so special is it keeps Brock and Roman still strong. It's the Money in the Bank being cashed in at WrestleMania for the first time, because ever since they've introduced this concept, they have been talking about someone's going to do it at WrestleMania, but they've never done it. They've done it on other shows or, other big shows like SummerSlam. But now they've done it at WrestleMania, and it made it feel that much more special. And as well, because Rollins lost to Orton, you have him now in the mix. So for a company that really had no real contenders for the title, they've got 4 or 3 within a matter of a night. So I think that makes this 10 times better. And I honestly can't believe I'm about to say this. I'm excited for Raw.
Well, I mean, Raw, it's been a horrible show for the past, I don't know how many months. But if anyone, I doubt it, but if anyone has never seen a Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, it is one of the funnest shows you can actually watch. It's almost like a fans appreciation night where we take it upon ourselves to really enjoy the show, take it upon our hands to guide the show to where it should be. To see Seth Rollins come out, we don't know what's going to happen. Like you said, I feel like with him cashing the briefcase, cashing out the contract on WrestleMania, it rejuvenates some life into the Money in the Bank. So this coming summer, when they have the pay-per-view, they're going to have probably some up-and-coming guy win that. And then, now that Seth Rollins has cashed this in at WrestleMania, it's going to put that much more importance into someone winning this Money in the Bank. Like I said, we'll see what happens on Raw tonight, but yeah, just an awesome scene to see.
Final thoughts on WrestleMania, Brandon. What would you rank the show, and I guess your overall opinion on the show? I mean, we both thought it was very highly.
This is going to be probably, I'm going to go back and watch it for sure. It's going to be one of my favorite WrestleManias, I feel. Right up there for me with the 17s, the 19s, the 22s. You know how much I love for that show. The 30 from last year that I was at, I think is going to rank up there with those. There was nothing really bad on the show. Again, there was nothing spectacular. You didn't get a Shawn Michaels Undertaker match. You didn't get Undertaker Triple H. But you got great moments that happen. And like I said, it's going to build up for something really new in the future.
Well, I honestly thought it was a fantastic show. I gave it like a 9 out of 10. All in all, a great WrestleMania. Anyways, Brandon, I'm going to let you go now. Before I let you go, though, plug yourself so people can get at you and talk the world of wrestling and other things.
For the few times I do videos, youtube.com/InstantClassic8. That's where you can find me. I do videos occasionally now. If you want to see my thoughts on pretty much anything, twitter.com/TheRealClassic. That's where you can find me at. And yeah, I mean, I try to get my insights as much as I can, try to be as unbiased as I can for my opinions as well. But of course, I like to have fun because I'm a pro wrestling fan. Speaking of having fun, like I said, no regrets about missing this show, but I definitely wish I was there. Dallas, Texas next year, I am 100% all in. I'm not missing this show. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I'm with you. Giddy up, cowboy. Maybe we'll see each other in Dallas with hopefully everything working out. But for that's going to do it for this edition of the Jason Hagholm Experience. That's it. Peace out. And have a good day, everyone.